All right, what's up, guys? Today I'm starting a YouTube channel that I've been wanting to do for a while. So I wanted to figure why not. Right now makes the perfect time. We got playoffs rolling around, and I think the NBA playoffs is going to be pretty interesting this year. I see a lot of people thinking that it's going to be just one of three teams winning it all, and it makes sense. And I think that that is very likely considering how good the Thunder, the Cavs, and the Celtics respectively have been. But I think that there's going to be a lot of good matchups in between here. I think we got really lucky with the draws. And I just wanted to talk about a couple of them. I'm going to go through all of them, give you guys my bracket, and we'll see how it goes. I know this doesn't list the play-in games besides these 7 and 8s. I don't think any of the 9s or 10s are getting in. You got them right here. Heat, Bulls, Mavericks, Kings. I just don't see any of these teams even taking a game off of the off of the 1 seeds if they get in somehow. So I'm gonna just use the Grizzlies or the Grizzlies Warriors and the Hawks Magic as my 7s and 8 seeds respectively. But to get that out of the way, I don't really think that any of these three teams are gonna lose in the first round. So I think we're just gonna chalk them up right here. It doesn't seem like, I mean, we know anything can happen in the playoffs. I just think that these teams are too good to lose this early, and I think we're kind of due for this Cavs Celtics conference finals. We've been waiting for that one, so I think that is not going to happen in the first round. They're not going down in the first round. And then the Thunder, they've just been generationally better than all of these teams. I don't see any team out of the play-in coming in and beating them. So with respect to those teams, we're going to get started too. We'll start out here with Pacers Bucks. I think Pacers Bucks is a very interesting draw. However, I just think it would be such a better series if Damian Lillard didn't have his blood clot issues. Obviously, Dame and Giannis are just a superpower duo, regardless of the cohesion that they have. They haven't looked very great together as a duo per se, but you know both of them are electrifying players, and they could do great things in the playoffs together under the right circumstance. So it sucks that we don't have Dame. It really does. But I think Giannis is a great player. Giannis isn't going to go down without a fight if he's healthy. We've seen playoff Giannis before. We've seen him drag teams further than they should have gone before. I just think this Pacers team is just really good this year. They learned from last year. They went to the conference finals. Halliburton started off rough at the beginning of the year. He's played like an All-NBA player down the back end of the season. I just think that the way that the Pacers play, it's going to be really hard for Giannis to like one-man show this series. I mean, you don't have much help on Giannis' side, right? You have Kuzma, you have Brook Lopez, you have a couple of the role players. Torian Prince seems to play 40 minutes a night for them, but I just don't see it. I don't see the Bucks with the Superman impression. I think Giannis is going to need either a retool around him in the offseason where you really try to focus around the edges and get him better role players. We've seen teams assemble like really good groups of role players around stars before. I think he's going to need that, or we might see some real big changes come from Milwaukee, but I don't see them beating the Pacers in that series, especially with Indiana getting home court advantage over Milwaukee. They'll go out west for this next one. I think Lakers Timberwolves is a good way to start. Lakers fans obviously let you know that this is going to be a wash and Luka and LeBron, it's too good, yada, yada, yada. I think it's going to be a good series. I really do. I will take the Lakers. I think that the Lakers just have the upper end talent, and they've been playing good basketball. I think Austin Reeves is a real difference maker for them. He's able to run that second unit kind of play. Like if Luka's off the court, him and LeBron can both play make. It's one of the best playmaking trios that I've ever seen, where they really make life easier for the guys on the outside, like Dorian Finney-Smith, Jared Vanderbilt, all these guys. They get such easy opportunities from playing with such great playmakers, and Austin Reeves has taken a huge jump in his playmaking skills over the last couple of years. I think that the Timberwolves, they have a really good defensive structure, but I just don't trust the clunkiness of their offense. I think that their offense down the stretch of these games, the ball can kind of stop a little bit if Anthony Edwards isn't dominating. And you have guys like Julius Randle, who he's shown in the past that he's just not somebody you can trust in the playoffs with the ball in his hands. Like I hope he changes it for himself. I hope he changes his image and has a good playoff run. But I ultimately think that the Lakers definitely have enough juice to get through the first round. Go back out east for Knicks Pistons. This is one of my favorite matchups I'm going to be tuned into for sure. I think that the Pistons they're at least going to make this a 6-game series. They're not going to go out in a sweep, I don't think. I don't think they're going to go out in 5 games either. I could definitely see it happening, don't get me wrong, but I just think the way that Detroit's played, the identity that they've built this year with JB Bickerstaff, with Cade Cunningham as like the head of the snake, with finally putting shooting around him, thank God. He can finally, actually kick it out to the outside and trust his teammates to hit shots, which is nice. Even when coming into the year, we didn't really know if that was going to be possible again because they added Malik Beasley, they added Tim Hardaway Jr., and we were like hoping that would be enough, which it was. But you saw them draft Ron Holland, and they had Asar Thompson, and they're going to play big minutes, and they can't shoot. Well, it hasn't mattered. It hasn't mattered. They've played great. They've earned a playoff spot. They tripled their wins. I personally think JB Bickerstaff should win Coach of the Year. Kenny Atkinson has been great, but he has a much better roster. These guys are healthy this year. I mean, they had 50 wins last year when they weren't healthy. The Pistons, they tripled their win total, man. I don't know how you don't give it to that coach. But at the end of the day, I think the Knicks, they're kind of limping into the playoffs a little bit. They have Brunson back healthy, and that's kind of giving them a burst again. But when you look at them against these top 3 teams, it doesn't look pretty at the 0-10. The way Tom Thibodeau coaches, I'm not confident in a deep playoff run out of them, but I do think that beating the Pistons is well within the reality of the spectrum here. I think that they will be forced to around 6, maybe 7 games. But ultimately, I think even if Detroit, as long as they don't get swept in this playoff series, I think Detroit fans are going to be very happy with the way their season went. I mean, unbelievable year. Big turnaround, and I expect a lot of good things to come for them this offseason. There's going to be a lot of optimism in Detroit, which is something that hasn't been said for a long time. We're going to go back out west here. Let's cover Nuggets Clippers. I'm going to ultimately go with the Nuggets. I'm going to get it out of the way here. And I can very easily see a world where the Clippers win. I think, honestly, it might be more consensus to pick the Clippers than the Nuggets. But man, Jokic is on a different level. He's been playing unbelievable basketball all season long. He's been, in my opinion, it's obviously him and Shea for MVP. I struggle with my pick. I flip-flop a lot, but if they're that close and they're both having generational seasons, that's how solid Jokic has been. He's been really leading this team. They have a weak infrastructure right now. Their surrounding pieces, they just haven't been the same since that championship in 2023. You lose guys like Bruce Brown, you lose Jeff Green, you lose KCP, you lose a lot of what your team's identity was then, and they kind of haven't really filled those roles yet. They haven't found those guys to step up. I know Christian Brown has been great, but outside of Christian Brown, they don't really have much bench production either. They're trying to force Jalen Pickett to provide something for them off the bench. I mean, Julian Strawther, these guys, but they haven't really taken that leap. I mean, I think at the end of the day, though, I am going to pick them over the Clippers just because the Clippers have had an unbelievable season on their own right. I don't think anyone thought they would be a 5 seed. Coming into the year, we didn't know Kawhi's health. We didn't know where he would be for the majority of the season. We didn't know if we were going to see him miss a month or half the year or whatever. You never really know with Kawhi because of the extensive, long history of him being hurt. But I think that, they've had a great season. Norman Powell is ultimately having a most improved player case. James Harden's been playing incredible. Ivica Zubac is also having a most improved player case. He's having an almost all defensive type year. You could argue him for all NBA. He's been that good. So I think that they're definitely a very hot basketball team right now. They've been playing well, but at the end of the day, they just have too many question marks for me to pick them over the best player in the world. And the question marks being James Harden. We know when the playoffs come around what's going to happen to James Harden. He never is the same player as in the regular season, which is okay. They don't need him to be 35 points a night like he was in Houston, right? But at the end of the day, you can't have what happened last year, or was it last year or 2 years ago with Philly? Where I think it was 2 years ago with Philly, where you can't have that happen again, where he'll give you 40 on game one and then he'll score in the single digits, and you just can't have that kind of inconsistency when you're going against the best player on the planet. And then Kawhi's health, Kawhi's health really makes me upset because I don't like to pick against teams because of injury, but if you have to play 30 plus minutes a night, 7 games in 2 weeks, I don't know if Kawhi can do that. I just don't. I don't I don't know. I thought he could do it in, I believe it was it 2022, where they played the Suns, and he looked unbelievable for like 2 games. He looked like the best player on the floor against Kevin Durant and Devin Booker and all those guys, but he ended up just giving out on himself again. His body gave out on him, and they ended up losing that series. So I don't want to be caught on the wrong side of history there, picking the Clippers, thinking like they're this hot team that are going to get through easily, because they are the better team than the Nuggets right now. They're playing much better basketball than the Nuggets, but I just can't trust that again, because if Kawhi goes down, then you have to rely on Harden to give you 30 again, and then that's where things get ugly. Last matchup of the first round here, Rockets. So the Thunder, I moved them on. I was kind of under the impression that Golden State's going to win this playoff game, or this playing game, and then Memphis is going to be the 8 seed. I think Memphis would probably take maybe a game max against OKC. And that's only because Ja Morant's been on an absolute burner right now. He's playing lights out for the last 2 weeks. But Rockets Golden State is kind of what I'm using for the framework here. And I think it's going to be really popular opinion to put Golden State through on this. I think people are going to expect, the leadership, the veteran experience of Curry, Draymond, Steve Kerr, and now you add playoff Jimmy to that equation. I don't know how people aren't going to be the popular pick to pick the Warriors in that series. But on top of that, they wouldn't be wrong. I mean, the Warriors have been incredible since acquiring Jimmy Butler. They don't really lose that much anymore. But who doesn't really lose that much either is Houston. They don't lose. Houston plays such an interesting brand of basketball. When you watch them play, it's like they don't have that clear-cut guy. I mean, if you look at the entire Western Conference, I can tell you, the Thunder have SGA. The Nuggets have Jokic. The Lakers have LeBron and Luka. The Timberwolves have Anthony Edwards. Even the Memphis has Ja Morant, and then you got Steph Curry, and you got Kawhi Leonard. These guys all have a guy, and the Rockets are a 2 seed, and their guy is Alperen Sengun, Jalen Green. They don't have a guy, Fred VanVleet. But the brand of basketball that they play, everybody is bought in. Ime Udoka, I mean, I'm a Celtics fan. Ime Udoka is a great coach. He brings the best out of his players. He brought a defensive infrastructure there. I think Amen Thompson is one of the most underrated players in the NBA. And he's ascending. He's entering DPOY conversations at 21 years old, which is just unbelievable. He plays such a great style of basketball. And I think that the Rockets are being disrespected because this team has played well all season long. They've had the long win streaks just like these teams have up top. I think that a lot of teams like to disrespect Houston, and also a lot of teams like to kind of just pump up the Warriors. So I think it's leading to this mismatch where the Warriors are almost favorited in the public eye to win this series. And I don't know, man. I think Houston is going to win this series. I think that Ime Udoka is the perfect coach to coach against the Warriors in the playoffs. When you have experience going against them in 2022 in the finals, you have experience coaching against Jimmy Butler in the playoffs. So none of these guys out west can say the same, I don't think. So I think Ime Udoka is going to get them through. And now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, which I think it's reminiscent of the NCAA tournament this year with all the 1 seeds making the Final Four. But I think that the chalk out west specifically is not that common of a pick. I think a lot of people are going to be on the Clippers and a lot of people are going to be on the Warriors. So I think that this is kind of different, I guess. So I think the Thunder, if we're going to start with Thunder Nuggets, are just going to beat the Nuggets. The Nuggets are limping, if we're going to be honest. I gave them the Jokic first round. I don't think they're going to get first rounded with the best player in the world, but this gives the MVP series of Jokic versus SGA. And SGA, this has been his year, man. He's just been on fire. He's got a much better surrounding cast than Nikola Jokic could dream of. He's gonna have 3 All-NBA defenders on that team. He's got everything. He's got everything he can ask for to make this conference finals run, and this is where they do that in my bracket. I think Lakers Rockets is an interesting series. I think that if you're looking at it, I think I can definitely see Houston winning the series. I think that they would be, again, disrespect. I think the Lakers would come into this series favorited. They do have Luka and LeBron, right? And that's ultimately. That's a lot. I know that LeBron's 40 years old now, but he's still, able to turn it up in the playoffs. I believe in that full-heartedly. So I will give the Lakers this one, but I don't think I'd be surprised if Houston was managed to push to the conference finals. Out here, we're gonna go with Cleveland, man. Cleveland's been playing. They played besides the last month or so where they kind of locked up the 1 seed and everything. They played a complete season. They had multiple 15-game win streaks. This team was the hottest team in basketball out of the gates. I mean, they were undefeated for like 3 weeks. It feels like, I don't remember. I know that they lost to the Celtics. I think it was like 15-0 or something when they lost that, but they played unbelievable all year. I think that the Pacers are a sneaky bad matchup for them, but I don't think it's enough to beat Cleveland in the way that they play. They have just a lot more star power and a lot more cohesion on that lineup than the Pacers, so I think that I'm going to take Cleveland there. And then there's my Celtics against the Knicks. We've been waiting for this series for years, man. Everybody's wanted Celtics-Knicks. I think this is a different version of the Celtics-Knicks that everybody wanted. I think a lot of people thought this would be closer this year. I think a lot of people thought with the additions of Karl-Anthony Towns, the additions of Mikal Bridges, kind of lengthened the gap a little bit. But this year, 4-0 against the Knicks, I don't think it really showed that. I think that the Knicks' strengths just don't play well against the Celtics, right? Like, their strength is that two-man game with Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns. And at the end of the day, that's what makes their offense hum. That's what makes them a top offense in the league. But having those two players on the floor against Boston is just exactly who they want to attack on defense. And you have two options at all times. So, I mean, Jason Tatum is just an absolute mismatch against both of those guys. We've seen him. He looks at his best when he's ISOing against Karl-Anthony Towns. It's honestly ridiculous. Tatum's been incredible in the Garden this year, too, in Madison Square Garden and TD Garden. But in Madison Square Garden, he goes in and he takes care of business a lot. So I'm going to go with Boston there. And we get the three, what everyone likes to say are the three real contenders, and then the Lakers. No shot at the Lakers. They're good teams as well. They're different than they were first half of the season, so it's hard to really project them if they had a full season of Luka and LeBron. But we'll start out west with OKC, and I think it's going to be a really popular pick to put the Lakers in the finals if this comes up as the matchup, because I think people are going to like lean on that whole experience. Oh, like the Thunder are an inexperienced team and all this stuff. Like they're too young. The Lakers have veterans. Luka was here last year. He went to the finals last year. LeBron, he was doing all his thing for obviously 20 years. I think it's going to be common to think that the Lakers can do this. I just think you look at the big men that the Lakers are rolling out every week, and it's not pretty. It's Jackson Hayes. It's honestly, like they run small ball with like Jared Vanderbilt and all these guys, and I think that the Thunder are just too versatile. They have too many good players. Like the Thunder go like 12 deep on their lineup and can run that with flawlessness. Like if say like Aaron Wiggins isn't hitting shots all playoffs, you can just sit him down. It doesn't matter. You can just bring somebody else out. You can bring in anybody else. They have like 15 fucking guys that can go out there and just play at a high level. And you also have the head of the snake. You have the MVP of the league. So I think the Thunder are going to go to the finals. I think that the Thunder, if I had to like cover their run here, I think they win this in 4 or 5. I think they beat the Nuggets in 5, and I think this game might go 6. I don't think it goes 7. If it does go 7, I'd be pretty surprised, but I think that this would be like a 6-game series. OKC would win, and we'd see OKC go back to the finals, which would be the first time since the Kevin Durant days. And then over here, Boston, Cleveland. This is another series everybody's wanted for a while. I mean, Cleveland last year, they played in the playoffs. These two teams played, and it wasn't really the same. I mean, Jared Allen was injured for most of the series, as well as Donovan Mitchell missing. I think he missed a game, maybe 2 games. But ultimately, these are the 2 best teams in the East. They're the best teams for a reason. They're here for a reason. They're leaps and shoulders above every other team in the conference, and I think that this is what we're geared up to see. Which I think if this was the conference finals, this would be an incredible matchup. Every game they've played this year has been razor close. Team I don't think anybody's won by more than 10 in those matchups. They've all been within single digits. So I think it's going to be interesting. I think you're going to look at a lot of nuance. I think people are going to try to overanalyze this series. I'm not. I mean, I'm going to let my bias show, man. I think Boston wins the series. They have the experience. Right, this is the most likely championship according to like all the betting odds and everything since the beginning of the season too. But I think Boston has the experience. They've shown that they can win on the road, so this home court advantage doesn't matter. They're one of the best road teams of all time. They have the same exact team as last year, the same team that showed that they were unbeatable in the playoffs last year. I think Cleveland, I don't know if Kenny Atkinson is really ready for this moment. I don't know. I'll have to see it to believe it, but I think that ultimately I'm going to go with the experience, man. The Cavs, they just don't have the the full experience yet to get out here. And I don't think that they're as dominant that it doesn't matter, kind of like the Thunder, where like the Thunder have the MVP of the league. They have a better surrounding cast, in my opinion, than the Cavs do. It's gonna be close. This is gonna be a close series. I mean, none of these games are gonna be blowouts. I don't think, unless Boston gets really hot from three. But I don't think that even if they do, we've seen them do that against Cleveland before, and Cleveland drag it right back. So I think that this will be a really close series. It probably goes 7 games, if I'm gonna be honest, 6-7 games, which would give me a heart attack. But I do think Boston pulls through. We see this 1-2 here in the finals. These are the best 2 teams in the season all year long. The 2 best teams, I would say, like if you're like, I don't know, because Cleveland was better than Boston in the regular season, so I would say that these would be the 2 best teams. But I think that you understand what I'm saying here. These 2 teams play so similar. As I've been looking at this as like kind of my finals pick here for a while now, I've been kind of trying to analyze these 2 teams, and they're built really similarly. Like they rely on Chet Holmgren, a big who protects the rim and can shoot. The Celtics rely on Kristaps Porzingis, a big who can protect the rim and shoot. SGA and Tatum, they initiate most of the offense on the team. They're the primary ball handlers. They look to score first. They can create for their team. You got co-stars like Jaylen Brown and Jalen Williams, who they do pretty similar things. They're both incredibly athletic. They both, run the break. They play good defense. They have great surrounding role players on both teams. You look at Lou Dort. You look at Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins, Alex Caruso, Isaiah Hartenstein. And the Celtics, you got Peyton Pritchard, Al Horford, Drew Holiday, Derek White, Sam Hauser. I mean, they all have roles. Everybody on both of these teams has their role. They know their role, and they've been doing it for the entire season, if not longer in both cases. I think that this would be the most fun final series, I think, in my opinion, because this, in my opinion, would be just incredible basketball, high-level basketball. I think Mark Daigneault is kind of ready for this moment, too. He's kind of shown during this regular season the experience of, like, a coach who's coached, who I think can make it this far, where he's, getting his team to win these games even when they're fielding weird lineups and trying to, tinker for the playoffs and everything. They're still winning these games. So I think that it's going to be a dogfight, man. I want to let my bias show and pick the Celtics. I think OKC is really good. I think I would. It's going to come off bias, but I think I would rely on the experience, man. The Celtics just have the experience over the OKC Thunder. At the end of the day, I mean, I think experience isn't the ultimate, end-all, be-all. Like for Thunder Lakers, I think that the experience definitely goes to the Lakers, but I think that the Thunder are just a little bit on a different level. They're a little bit higher for me than the Lakers are. I think these teams are too close, and if you're looking for anything to split hairs on, you can also split hairs on if you think SGA is a little bit better than Tatum, if you wanted to use that as your reason to pick the Thunder. I don't think, subscribe to that. I think that they're both all-world players. I think that my little edge that I would give Boston is that they were right here last year. This team was right here last year. They know what to do. They finished the job. They've been through – a lot of these guys have been through a bunch of brutal playoff losses for years now, and I think that this is their graduation ceremony. This is where the NBA returns to another back-to-back. First time since the Warriors in 2017, 2018. And we get another NBA villain, which would be Boston Celtics. So everybody loves to hate the Celtics anyways, so I think that would make for very good ratings for next year. And then how many points will the Finals MVP score in the playoffs? I don't know. Like 500? We'll just put 500. Yeah, that's about it, though. That's my bracket. If you're watching this, please comment and let me know what you think. Was I biased? Did I just put my favorite team through, or do you really think the Celtics have a chance? Let me know what you think I messed up or what you would do differently. And that's about it, man. Thanks for watching.